YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with our final power rankings for the regular season. It's not the last power rankings of the year, though, for the Goat House. We'll have them every step of the way for the playoffs. We actually have playoff rankings, so taking the playoff teams and ranking them from worst to first, and that has really nothing to do with the regular season. We're starting fresh there, so I can't wait for all the playoff coverage we got. We got tons of videos on the way for the playoffs and more, so I can't wait for that. Please subscribe. Full NFL coverage, even in the offseason. We're kind of already in offseason mode and in playoff mode at the same time, so it's a good time of the year. I'm excited. Follow our Twitter. A lot of polls are going to be coming out on the Twitter. We're going to get you guys involved with the fan-voted pick for weekly picks. A lot more. You guys are going to decide awards, everything. So you're going to want to follow that Twitter link down below, description, comments. Follow that Sided app. You'll find a link for that down below. You can win Amazon gift cards on there just by talking football. A lot going on, and you can find anything that you need in the with links in the description and the comments. But to the final power rankings, not a whole bunch of changes, so we're going to rip through this really quick. And this has nothing to do with the playoffs. You know, my thoughts on teams in the playoffs, nothing like that. We're keeping the same system based on what they did, you know, throughout the regular season and as of, you know, recently here at the end of the year. The Jaguars end at 32, exactly where they want to be. The Jets at 31. They had a 2-game win streak in there, and they lost at the end of the year to the Patriots. The Texans at 30. Texans and Lions are two teams that I almost wanted to move up because the Texans put up a really good fight once again with the Titans. They really could have went 4-0 against the Titans. You know, with Titans and Colts combined, they were very close to going 4-0, but they went 0-4. That's pretty wild. So, you know, they're a sneaky team. You know, they put up a good fight, really good offense. Deshaun Watson, something else. Everyone knows this stuff. But putting up a good fight against the Titans, I almost wanted to move them up, but, you know, keep the system how we did the power rankings all year. They ended the year on a 5-game losing streak, so it was very tough to move up. Same with the Lions. They scored 35 points and lost against a pretty good offense in the Vikings. Offense wasn't the problem for the Lions this year, maybe minus the Panthers game. But yeah, they ended it off at a 4-game losing streak. So I wanted to move those teams up because I do feel like, you know, maybe because their offense, they're a little better than some of those teams, but that's where they ended the year. The Falcons at 28. No changes on this. No changes really at all throughout we have some throughout the final power rankings here. Eagles, I kind of wanted to move them down just because what they did at the end there, they want to be down. You know, they want to be towards the bottom. So that was interesting, but yeah, even though they lost most of their games down the stretch, they show that they have more talent. They can be a better team. The Bengals won a couple games down the stretch. I know their last game wasn't ideal against the Ravens. Panthers at 25. And then we'll show the next tier of teams real quick. Some more changes in here. Obviously, the Broncos stay put at 24. They had a battle with the Raiders. Didn't pull it off in the end. Niners at 23. Yeah, they had a battle with Seattle after a win against Arizona, but no change for them. The Cowboys were getting hot, but then they lose to the Giants. Even though the game really didn't end up mattering because Washington ended up winning, it still felt like a must-win game. They couldn't really pull it off. It just felt like the Giants were the better team. So they're going to move down 4 spots. Patriots beat the Jets. You don't really get to move up for that unless other things are happening around you. The Giants move up 2 spots. You know, they kind of did enough in the last week. They did enough to maybe go to the playoffs for the, win the NFC East, I should say. But they didn't feel like a playoff team. They didn't do enough throughout the whole regular season. But I think they got a bright future. We'll see how they handle the quarterback position. But I like Joe Judge. I like the defense a lot. Leonard Williams is an absolute monster this year, especially in that last game against the Cowboys. They're up 2 spots. A pretty good way to end it, I suppose. The Chargers, seeing them at 19, that's good to see. Bright future there. We'll see what they do with their head coach position there. Anthony Lynn is gone. I think the right move. Justin Herbert looks great. You know, that everything looks really good. Even the offensive line where they could actually tune a little bit. They can retool it a little bit. Even that, though, I was expecting to be a disaster. It was pretty solid. So, yeah, they kind of can just retune the roster a little bit, retool it just a little bit. But, yeah, they end off in a good spot. The Vikings, disappointing season for the Vikings, but I think they end at a pretty decent spot. You know, they're going to get a lot of guys back on defense next year, and they kind of can retool that a bit. Offense, look, that was one of their best offensive years in a long time. You know, what Justin Jefferson did, Adam Thielen was great. You know, the running back group led by Dalvin Cook. Kirk Cousins down the stretch of the season played fantastic, actually. So maybe there's some positive there for the Vikings, even though overall it's a disappointing season. So they end up 1 spot, you know. to end the year. Cardinals down 2 spots. Yeah, disappointing stretch of the season. They kind of choked it away, mainly with that Niners game. And they had a shot at the Rams game. It was unfortunate with Kyler Murray kind of getting hurt early on. Then you thought he was going to come back in second quarter. He was warming up. And then he kind of decides to come back when it's pretty much too late. Maybe it wasn't too late because they had a shot. But, yeah, so I was a little disappointed with that situation. But, yeah, it was unfortunate at the same time that Kyler Murray got hurt, but at the end of the day, the Rams were pretty beat up as well. So really no excuses. You got to find a way to get the job done. They did not do that. So mainly disappointing with the Niners game with the Rams as well. They're down 2 spots to 17 to end the year. Next we got, I had to fix this as well. The Washington football team actually moved up 1 spot. The Raiders moved up 1 spot, end the year with a win, kind of even with the Cardinals there, they ended with a win. Cardinals end up kind of disappointing the last 2 games, choking a little bit. So Raiders, they were in that 16 spot a lot this year. Washington up 1 spot. They got the win. They really didn't play all that well. Love the defense, though. They're a playoff team. The Bears lost, but they end the year pretty strong for the most part there. And they're headed into the playoffs. So maybe one of the surprise playoff teams based, considering they went on a 6-game losing streak. So they're at 14. Dolphins moved down 1 spot. They did not make the playoffs, but overall a pretty damn good season. They didn't make the playoff. They didn't make the playoffs, and they kind of had a shot there. A little bit of a choke against the Bills because the Bills went in the game resting a whole bunch of defensive starters, their best starters for the most part. And Barkley got, most of the backups got to play a chunk, maybe in the second half. The Dolphins not only couldn't pull it up, but it was pretty disappointing. But 10-win season, very impressive too, because I thought they had a tough schedule going in. It didn't end up being as tough, but that's because they were a tough team. Very good defense. Brian Flores, really good coach. Bright future, so they were better than expected. So I think it's okay, even though it was a little disappointing in the end. The Rams moved up 1 spot, despite having a bunch of guys out. They somewhat of a must-win game. They still would have been in because the Bears lost, but they're going to get in, even though their quarterback was out, Cooper Kupp was out, some other guys, obviously. So they'll move up 1 spot to number 12. The Colts are going to stay put, must-win game against the Jags. They got it done. Made it a little interesting at one point. Thought the Jags would come back, but they hung on there. They hung out, pulled it off by 2 touchdowns. Browns at 10, Steelers at 9. Didn't really see a reason to move them. Thought about moving the Browns ahead of the Steelers. But that was tough to me. Steelers played a pretty good game with their backups. They played them pretty strong. And they got that Colts. They're still hanging on to that Colts win 2 weeks ago. That was huge for them. That was huge for their season. Was huge for their playoff situation. Momentum. So I didn't. Thought about it. Didn't end up moving that at all. And we're gonna see one change and a big one in the top 8. The Bills and the regular season number 1. So about the Titans, like I said, they made things interesting. They didn't really need to, too. They're up pretty big. They pull it off. That offense is very good. The defense I'm a little scared about. Buccaneers continue to roll at the right time, kind of what we predicted going into the year. Maybe it took a little longer for them than we predicted. And that resulted in the Saints winning division. The Saints also playing really good football, but the Buccaneers looking really good going into the playoffs. We'll see what's up with Mike Evans, though. Seahawks at 6. A little disappointing with their offense at times. I think they were trying to save some stuff because as soon as they went down 2 scores, and the Niners they're like, all right, let's go win this game, and that looked pretty good. Even though it's not the greatest performance, but I didn't see any reason to move them down for that. Ravens, one of the hotter teams of football down the stretch. And they look promising. Tough matchup against Titans, though. Ravens, Titans. I do not know who I'm picking for that game. I got in my head. We got our picks Tuesday night like usual. Can't wait for that. I got in my head who I'm picking for every game. That one, can't wait. That's the best game, and that's a big reason why I don't know who I'm picking. That's what makes it the best game, I guess. Saints at 4. Whole running back group is out for the most part. Ty Montgomery still looks good. I guess part of that running back group, so I guess not the entire thing, I suppose. But they still dominate, and it's not, a free game or anything. I know the Panthers were struggling, so that's a good way to end it. The Packers kind of played a little sloppy within the Bears game. Early they looked great, flawless Rodgers. Still should have been flawless. A drop touchdown by Marquez Valdes-Scantling. We're kind of used to that. And they kind of got a little. They were slowing up on offense. The Bears beat them in yards, time of possession by a long shot. So I think the Packers can play better is my point, and they still won by a good amount. So that shows how much power the Packers have here. The Chiefs moved down one spot. They played their backups in this game. They started off a little strong, and the Chargers just dominated them. So I don't want to penalize the Chiefs. It's not really a label on them. Full strength, obviously, but a regular season power rankings going week by week, and what the Bills are. It's mainly the Bills moving up. The Bills are the hottest team in football, and what they're able to do, to a good Dolphins team in a must-win situation with the Dolphins, without a lot of starters, and then even taking Josh Allen, they were dominant the whole way. 56 points, ridiculous. The feeling of just like a team. You get the team feeling. No matter who's in there, they're going to dominate. So with all those things and how they ended the season, I thought it was fitting to put the Bills at 1. It was tough swapping that out, and that doesn't mean this is not playoff rankings. We'll have playoff rankings. This isn't my Super Bowl favorites in order, nothing like that. It's just my power rankings. That's my system, week by week, resume, who's hot, who's cold, how, what you did recently, I guess, plays a little more of a part than what you did earlier in the year, even though those things matter as well. So I thought it was fitting to put the Bills at 1 to end the year. But yeah, some heavyweights at the top that I can't. I hope we see a Bills-Chiefs matchup at some point. Packers-Saints or whoever it may be. Buccaneers are getting hot. Seahawks, I think, will get more offense going in the playoffs. Ravens are sneaky. Titans got I can't wait for the playoffs, and we're going to have you covered for that with all kinds of content. And we still got more. It's considered regular season content with I'll rank the players based off regular season. We'll rank the quarterbacks 32 to 1. We'll rank top 5 players at each position. We did those things halfway through the season, so we'll see how they'll change here at the end of the regular season. My top 100 that I do every year will be after the playoffs, because I let playoffs play a part, because the ultimate goal is to win in the playoffs, win the Super Bowl. So if players show up there, that could affect their stock in the top 100 listing for me. That's just how I've always done it. So we got everything here. We got you covered. I can't wait to do it all here. So hopefully you guys join us for all of that. Thanks for watching all these videos. Thanks for being here. Thanks for interacting in the comments on Twitter. That'll be it for the regular season power rankings, but we're not done. We'll have power rankings every step of the way in the playoffs, so I can't wait for all that. Make sure you follow that Twitter, because you guys are going to get involved voting for different things, who wins each playoff matchup. More than that, there's a lot going on there, so check it out. Please like, subscribe, turn notifications on. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.